Houston, Texas, 2010. Doctors at the Texas Heart Institute examine a 59-year-old man complaining of chest pains and make an astounding discovery. The patient has a 3-chambered heart, similar to that of a reptile. Researchers attributed the rare condition to an evolutionary phenomenon called atavism, when a lost trait of a distant ancestor reemerges in a modern organism.
So the idea is, if you look at where we evolved from, we were first fish. Fish have a 2-chambered heart. And then we came on land, we're more like a reptile that has a 3-chambered heart. And then eventually the 4-chambered heart as we became mammals and then humans. So interestingly, during development, that same sequence of evolution is played out again as embryos. So if there's any sort of defect in the embryo along the way, it could get stalled out at that earlier state. And now this man has a heart that's more typical of our distant ancestors, the reptiles.
While the discovery of a human with a reptilian heart is incredibly rare, other genetic conditions have been found that suggest a link with reptiles. Since the 1800s, over 100 cases of human tails have been reported in medical journals. People with the disease, ichthyosis, have dry, scaly skin. And people with the diseases called syndactyly and ectrodactyly have fused fingers and claw-like hands. But if such anatomical irregularities are a link to our ancient ancestors, as some scientists suggest, could it be that they are not the remnants of a reptilian stage in human development, but instead reveal that the human genome was commingled with that of the so-called reptilians? Ancient astronaut theorists say yes, and believe that proof of alien hybrid experimentation can also be found in other unusual anomalies that appear to mirror the descriptions of divine beings from ancient texts. Millions of infants are born with blue patches of skin called Mongolian spots, evoking the blue-skinned gods common to India and Egypt. There have also been many cases of gigantism throughout history, bringing to mind biblical stories of the Nephilim, giants that were said to be the hybrid offspring of humans and divine beings called the Watchers.
Within us is the whole evolutionary development of humankind, as well as the other species that humans developed from, reptiles, fish, and so forth. Extrapolating this idea, if extraterrestrials had a hand in retooling our DNA, then do we also carry their genetic makeup within us as we would?
We know today that our DNA contains a lot of junk DNA that we still don't understand. So when we see these genetic anomalies surface in physical form in children, it could be that it's not an anomaly, it's actually a lost extraterrestrial gene, a marker that's now resurfacing at the right time.
Could there be extraterrestrial genes lying dormant in human DNA, as ancient astronaut theorists suggest? And if so, might a closer examination of bloodlines passed down from our earliest ancestors provide further evidence of this connection? Located between the border of Spain and France is the Pyrenees mountain range. The people that occupy this isolated region are known as the Basque, and they have long confounded anthropologists and historians. The language spoken by the enclave is not related to any other in that part of the world. And the population also has the highest concentration of Rh-negative blood type on Earth.
Up to 35% of Basque people have Rh-negative blood. And Rh-negative blood is one of the most unusual blood types. And it's the one blood type that is least likely to mutate or interact with other blood types.
Human blood types are grouped into 4 distinct designations that include O, A, B, and AB. Additionally, there is another variance between blood types known as the Rh factor, or rhesus factor, which is a measure of rhesus-based antigens in the blood.
The name comes from a monkey from India and other parts of Asia, which is the rhesus macaque. And this monkey was used in experiments looking at blood transfusions. How blood was received from recipients varied. And it was discovered that the rhesus factor could be positive or negative. Most humans in the world are rhesus positive.
85% of humans in the world are Rh positive and have no issues receiving blood from positive or negative donors. But for the Rh negative population, receiving Rh positive blood may be fatal, as the body will try to destroy the foreign antigens. And for women that are Rh negative, mating with an Rh positive partner could be detrimental to the fetus.
If a rhesus positive and a rhesus negative parents were to have an offspring, there is a potential danger to the offspring because these 2 blood types can't interbreed, basically. Medical intervention is needed. It's why, actually, in the past, people had to have a blood test before they were allowed to get married.
The very fact that an Rh negative mother, her body would actually try to kill an Rh positive baby generates bizarre scenarios. How on earth could this happen? It suggests somewhere in our lineage that the Rh negatives and the Rh positives are perceived as being profoundly different. And also, studies of Rh negatives suggest that they have lower than normal blood pressure, lower than normal pulse. In a number of cases, they have an extra vertebra in their back.
Rh negative is very rare. Most of the world didn't have it until colonization started in the 15th century. Rh negative didn't exist in the Americas, it didn't exist in Southern Africa, it didn't exist in Asia. It was only in Europe, so it spread out from there. Out of Africa, that theory has it that all human beings originated in Africa, Southern Africa, Sub-Sahara. They're all Rh positive. They don't have any Rh negative. Where did Rh negative evolve then?
15% of the humans have Rh negative blood. 15%. And scientists have no idea where it came from. What they do believe is that if you have that, you may have been evolved from a different kind of species on this planet. Now, was that species put here, genetically altered, or was it just a natural formation of the planet in its evolutionary stage? Who knows? But the fact is that Rh negative people, and again, there's 15% of them on this planet, may have come from outside sources.